Okay, so I'm clearing up my screen here. So let's go back to our view here. I'll make this a bit bigger. So we've got a stream, and this stream is referencing this little mini episode that I made where we're going over, just a news article on Hacker News, and we've got all those things there. So let's go over how we would kind of post-process this. So we've got one segment there. We need to make another segment, and let's call this segment Java commentary. And this is forcing me to make this of type segment 9995. Adding the stream task. This will populate well, demo stream. And then we'll call this Java commentary. Okay. Save that. And then we'll make one more. Clean that up a bit. Okay. Segment. And now this will make sense in a second. Wrap up. Okay. We're going to make this a segment. So the segments are things that we've planned in advance. And they have a title. We'll call this Java commentary. This one is going to be, we'll save that. Link it to the parent. Oops. We need to call this a segment. We need to link it to the parent task. Let's see. Demo stream. There we go. That should be what we need. Oh, I forgot the, let's see, where is it? One second, I must have forgot a field here. Because I have this view. Oh, I think that what's happened. Let me disable this filter quickly. I want to make sure that this works exactly how I want it to. Okay. So we're in the segment view. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. I forgot the... Now I can turn my filter back on. So we'll filter by the episode number as 9995. Okay. Sorry for a little bit of setup.
Here.
Yeah, now it's here. We'll call this wrap up. These are all in progress. So our previous automation should have, and so let's say we've gone through the show. This one's complexity. We're going to give this a 1. This one is simplicity. We're going to give this a 5. Let's do a refresh. Our other automation will have run, and we should have these transitions. Oh, and this is important. We want the order that we're going to go through them is 2 and 3, and let's also give them URLs to have something to reference, and let's have that one be that URL. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so say we've done this live stream, and it's all set. Then what I would do, and this part's still manual because StreamYard doesn't have an API, is that I would set this recorded S3 URI field. Now I'm going to set this to this. Here we go. Set that here. Recorded S3 URI. Okay, that's happy with that now. So now when I move this from, so say it was in the recorded state, because actually I think some of my automation, I want to make sure, okay, it was ready, and then we recorded it. And so now that it's in the recorded state, the automation is going to fire, which is going to launch a recognition job. And what recognition is going to do is it's going to look for all those segments, and it's going to figure out how many segments were in the show, and then if the amount of discrete clips it found matches the segments. So in this case, it will find 3 like this. It'll look for this pattern. It'll look for a black frame, and then that transition video, and then some amount of content, a black frame, the transition video, and then some amount of content. If it finds the same amount that we've already pre-planned, it's going to make a highlight that matches to that. So let's refresh. And if we go to an overall view, we should see that start to work. I think there they are. So, cool. Okay, nice. So what ended up happening, and it seems like we got it just on the cusp of an update there. Okay, so what it did, and let's go to the highlight view, and this will make a lot more sense. So this is 9995. Okay, so what we're seeing here is this is the cool thing. Rekognition populated these fields. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Rekognition populated the fact that this happened here at 35 seconds, 10 milliseconds, and it ended at 3:11:08. And so now if we go over to our video and we go to a certain timestamp, and let's see, what was it? We'll go to 0:35.
There we go.
That's it. So, and now if we go to the next one, so that the next one, so see, our transition segment's about 10 seconds. So this one ended at 11, and this next one starts at 28. So the way that works in the background, and I'll show you the script here when we're getting close to our time. We have this use Rekognition. Now, Rekognition, it's kind of fascinating. The key here is that we're looking for this, what's called a technical cue. And the technical cue that we're looking for is that there's a black frame here. And what this coverage percentage is saying is if this black frame is covering more than 60% of the screen. Now, if you dive into the documentation, one thing that's interesting is a black frame technical cue only works if there's also no audio. And StreamYard does a thing where when you trigger a transition, it tapers off the audio over about half a second. So that's why that black frame has to be a second long. If you had full control over the video, you could just do it for, I don't know, a couple of frames. But it's a bit extra long at the moment because I'm compensating for that audio taper off to make sure we get a little piece of it where there's no audio.
Stephen, if we can take just 1 minute to tell the audience a little bit more about Rekognition, because I'm not sure we've actually covered that in depth.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I got so excited I kind of jumped ahead. Sorry.
Just very quickly, Rekognition is actually a suite of API that deals specifically with both image and video related AI services. That could be anything from detecting people, detecting faces, detecting sentiment, detecting not safe for work kind of content. So there are a lot of very interesting things that you can do with Rekognition. They have a very vast set of API that are there to be leveraged. So go check it out.
So this one in particular is called the Rekognition Segment API. And what it's doing is it's detecting, I'm sorry, I got so excited and I was also watching the clock. And I got this and it worked.
It always happens to us.
So yeah, what you do is you give it a file in a bucket and you tell it what to look for. And in this case, we're using a technical cue of type black frame. And then it will, once this job runs, it will broadcast out to an SNS topic when it's finished. And then so this is actually using that 2-function paradigm where one of them starts it and another one is waiting for the result to then update it.
Yeah.
But the neat thing is, and that's one thing I've seen through this whole automation process when you're making these webhooks is you really want to have that pairing. You don't want webhooks to be synchronous. And most of your webhook providers don't want that either. And ClickUp says, if you make a webhook that takes a minute, they're going to disable that automation.
Yeah. Completely understand.
So, so this is Rekognition. I'm working on a blog post that'll kind of show all this stuff and have a repository that you can play with in dev spaces and deploy the automation stack in SAM. You just have to fill out your AWS variables, and then you can basically have a very similar stack. But the idea is, and we'll have to go over this next time, but now that we've got these highlights, I'll just give a quick preview. So when we have these highlights, this is saying, here's the full length of the segment. Now on LinkedIn, you can do a 10-minute video as a highlight. But on Twitter, you can only do 60 seconds. So what we do is we have a preview highlight. So if we did, and again, I'm doing this blind, but if we do, if we start at 35, but then we want to end it at 1 minute and 15, that'll be okay. Okay, so we've got that. And then let's jump into this one, and we'll add a thumbnail because we need a thumbnail. Let's see. Thumbnail image. Upload the file. This will be episode 17. There we go. This will be the thumbnail for our video. Is that. And then if I move this over to in progress, then this is going to then take these parameters and it's going to render them in ShotStack into these videos that we can then share out on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and it'll make the full version for LinkedIn and it'll make the shortened version for Twitter. Let's see how that's going. That will run. We'll have to do that next time because I know it's 10. We're already 2 minutes past. But yeah, that's how we use Rekognition to do this segment analysis, and this has been a real time saver because the first 13, 14 episodes, it was really just moving. Is in VLC with my notepad and writing down these timestamps and getting that to work. It was time consuming. But if you can control your transition videos and have that black frame, then you can basically make Rekognition do all that work for you. The Rekognition segment analysis API. All right. Well, I think
thanks so much, Stephen, for walking us through that. And I know that there's tons more to go through, but look forward to the blog posts as well.
Yeah, I'll get that finished up and posted along with some code, and then we need to. I think we have to do a part 2 and maybe a part 3 of this. And I guess that's what I realized is there's so much there, and there's a lot of little tasks like getting the thumbnail lined up, making sure the thumbnail is ready when I want to make the highlights. And that was a problem I ran into earlier. Is I'd be all ready to go. I said, I forgot to ask the designer to make the thumbnails. And then so that would be a 24-hour turnaround on there. And so being able to have all this flow controlled and all these reminders in place to add this structure, it's been really fun. And using dev spaces and dev flows, because it makes it really easy to just have these quick functions that I couldn't think of a faster way to get a Lambda function just sitting out there on the public internet than using a dev spaces template.
Couldn't agree more. Anyway, thank you so much for the wonderful episode. And the audience, please feel free to subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what else you would like to know. We will see you soon next week.
Yep. Let's do next week. Maybe we'll just do the part 2 next week.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again. And I'll cue the end roll. Bye-bye. Here we go. I'm going to cue the credits, and there we go.
Is your AWS public cloud bill growing? While most solutions focus on visibility, CloudFix saves you 10 to 20% on your AWS bill by finding and implementing AWS recommended fixes that are 100% safe. There's zero downtime and zero degradation in performance. We've helped organizations save millions of dollars across tens of thousands of AWS instances. Interested in seeing how much money you can save? Visit Cloudfix